Shout out to Just Loader for this video idea. If you guys want to shout out as well, just comment down a good video idea below. Today we are talking about the best units for story mode as well as raid mode in All-Star Tower Defense. This way you guys should be able to pretty much solo every single raid in the game. Alright, let's get it. First up, we're going to be talking about the best support units that you guys should bring along with you. Alright, and honestly guys, we're going to be focusing on soloing raids because I know a lot of you guys don't have a whole lot of friends to duo and trio and 8x raids, so I'll be showing you guys the best units to solo raids, and obviously you can just bring more units and more friends if you want to beat the raid easier. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and help us reach 500k for our next code unit. And remember, you must be subscribed to get our code units. And trust me guys, Toru is pretty OP, so you can't wait to see what we have next. And we'll also, I guess we can take a look at our first code units. Alright, here we go guys. So this unit is a code unit right here, and he is one of the best support units in the game. You could either use him or Astd. Alright, basically what they do, if we take a look, is they change the enemy's enchant. So Astd changes the enemy's enchant to holy, and our boy Zamasu changes them to dark. So I'd pretty much recommend Astd pretty much always, mainly because the dark enemies are better. Like you have Ombre, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So I definitely think Astd is the better bet. But you can use either, and this way you guys can beat every single raid with one team. That's the nice thing about these guys. Alright, so those are the support units like that. So now let's go over the two buff units you guys are going to want to be choosing between. Alright, so these are your two best options. We have Brooke, and we have our girl Idol or I. Basically the difference between the two is Idol is also a money unit, so I definitely recommend bringing her. And if you can't beat it, maybe you want to bring Brooke. Or honestly, you can bring Idol as well as Merlin, which is even better combo than these two. So the nice thing about Idol is she'll give you free money and max buff, and you don't have to set up any complicated buff. If you guys do decide to use Brooke, you are going to have to set up a kind of a pretty complicated buff with like going around the circle and crap. But if you use her, you just press auto and you're done just like that. Now again, the caveat is this guy buffs range slightly and she does not, but also she gives money, and Brooke just costs a frick ton of money. I think it costs like 50k to get Brooke to max buff, and her, she basically just gives you free money. Alright, now let's talk about the money units. Again, you guys probably saw her, so I recommend you bring her and Jeff CEO. Those are gonna be your best combo. Now they're actually pretty much the same, so I don't think you really need to bring one or the other. They're just so close together. But honestly, if you can, maybe you just bring both. They're both great units, but I would give Speedwagon the edge if you're doing one of the harder raids, which we'll talk about in a second. I'll show you guys. All right, so now let's go over probably the most important section, the boss killing section. All right, here we go. Let's get it. All right, guys, so certain other raids have big bosses, and same with, but story mode honestly doesn't really have that big of a bosses. They do have slightly big bosses, so yeah, I'll show you guys what I mean, which raids. All right, we have to equip a unit first. All right, let's equip Aizen because he's pretty good. And I'll equip Ombre as well. And then we have Metal Cooler. Now, these are going to be your three best bets if you guys are trying to beat any of the bosses, all right? Honestly, any of these units can do it, but Metal Cooler might not be enough. And you might have to also bring a time stop unit, guys. All right, which I forgot to show off a little bit earlier in the video. But if you guys have Mysterious Gojo, he's going to help you out a lot. Honestly, any time stop unit like this Gojo or even Jokato, not the perfect one or the ascended one, but the normal one is going to be good to go. That way you can get more metal coolers to hit your bosses. So yeah, not every raid has a boss, but the harder raids do. So Venom raid has a boss, Berserker raids has a boss, Android raids boss isn't too difficult, but you might want to use metal cooler for that one. Sun raid has a pretty big boss, Meteor raid has a pretty big boss, String raid is really easy, Bizarre raid is really easy. Alright, so Fighter Raid, of course, guys, has a boss, and Candy Raid as well. So if you guys are doing any of the raids, you're going to need to bring one of these three units. Now, personally, I think Ombre is good if the enemy has like 4 billion or less health. Alright, Aizen works on any enemy, but he's super expensive. And Metal Cooler is super cheap, but if a unit has over 1 billion health, it's going to be hard to solo with Metal Freezer. So those are the best units for killing the bosses. Alright, now let's go over some just like general great units that I like to use for slowing down the units. I'm gonna be honest, guys, your best bet is going to be Blackbeard in pretty much every raid. He's going to be the cheapest unit. Now you can get away with the different forms of katakuri, whether that be the 7-star or the 6-star. But I personally recommend just bringing Blackbeard. He's pretty easy to get. The only problem with Blackbeard is the orb is fairly hard to get. Oh yeah, also one more thing about orbs and units. I probably should talk about this. So you want to give your money unit this orb right here, guys. The Universal Reduction Orb from Raid 3 is really easy to get. And other than that, usually I like to give my units the Range Orb. That helps the most, either the Super Blue Eye Orb or the Blue Eye Orb. And the other orbs are nice, but they're kind of optional. You can just like use them if you have them. For example, like the Magic Orb from Random Boss Rush 2. All right, so there's going to be a lot of units you guys can use. So basically what I like to do is I like to, oh my gosh, I keep forgetting this. I like to match the unit to the raid. So different raids have different like thingies. So Venom Raid, Berserk, yeah, they all have like different kind of colors. So again, like I said before, you can either use Asta and then just use dark units. But for me personally, I think the best combo possible is Asta. All right, and if you're lucky enough to have him, I really like the combo of Asta and Ombre. All right, that's a pretty OP combo. And then you just have to just throw in pretty much any air unit. But Asta does hit the air, so you don't really have to actually worry about that. So these two together can pretty much slap anything. So I would say this is the best duo in the game. But I know a lot of people don't actually have Ombre. So Ombre is definitely not required. But some other units I do like to use. So we'll just go over some like of the different types. So basically, if it's a nature raid, for like an electric raid, like for example the Hell raid, I really like Tanjiro, obviously. He's probably gonna be your best bet. All right, for Marine HQ, I definitely like Savan Master, as well as Toru is gonna be a really good bet as well. And if you do happen to have him, or you can borrow it from a friend, Chainsaw Man is also really good for Marine HQ, as well as the Spirit raid. As far as the water raids, it's pretty easy, guys. If you're doing any water raids, like for example, I guess it'd be like Bazaar raid or Sinjin raid, Metal Cooler is gonna be a great bet. Isagi's not terrible. All right, also another thing to note is on your first slot, you're gonna really want to have a unit with one of these guys. It's called the bonus. It says bonus down here. So some great units that have good bonuses that I like to bring is Tanjiro and Ombre. So make sure you guys have one of those in your leader slot. That's gonna give you a frick ton of money. And if you don't have either of those, the next best bet is going to be Mikasa from Attack on Titan. She gives a 15% bonus, but the 7 stars give 20% bonus. So you can definitely get away with her. She's gonna be pretty dang good. All right, now we'll just go over some other units that you can get away with, but not necessarily recommended, or some have some cool abilities. Princess Apollo has a pretty cool ability. She's basically a Rimmeru's ability, so she removes like decelerates and stuff and rages, so she can be useful for sure. This guy's very good. This guy's kind of okay, not that great though. Metal Cooler is of course very, very good, highly recommended. Now these 6 stars are decent as well. All right, this guy is very good for the Sinjin raid, so I definitely recommend him. Boo is too expensive though, so I can't really recommend Boo. Let's see what else we have. Magellan, guys, is very good as well. Magellan is a great pair with the units we talked about earlier. So you can use Venom as well as Asta together for a pretty OP combo. We already talked about how good Idol is. Let's see here. Lucky is a stun unit with a good AoE. So if you're doing like the Sinjin raid or something, definitely recommend it. Or anything where water is good. Very good unit for that. Katanas, if you don't have Ombre, you can use Katanas instead. It's not as good, but it's going to be decent enough for the bleed at least. And then you can stack that on with Nezuko as well. So Chainsaw Man, Katanas and Nezuko is a pretty dang good combo, along with Asta. Very, very good combo. Let's go see if there's any other units that are good. I don't really recommend Power. You could get away with Power, but kind of mid in my opinion. Navy has stun if you really want stun. Jonjo isn't terrible, but I recommend Caesar instead. Toru is very, very good for raids. Let's go speed run, see if there's anything else I recommend. This guy you can maybe use, but he's a tradable unit. Springy, I mean, if there's a grass raid, you can get away with Springy. He's actually busted, so not bad at all. All right, Broly is also pretty good. This guy you might be able to get away with. I think you might be able to do Hell raid with him, but it's gonna be a little bit of a challenge. Mochi, not recommended. This guy right here is also really good. He does really decent damage, so not a bad bet if you don't have Asta and whatnot. Let me see if there's anything I'm missing so people don't get mad at me. I mean this guy's also not bad as well. You can get away with him. Nezuko, of course, very good. Let's see, anybody else so people don't get mad. Oh yeah, this guy right here, guys, who drawn the Mystic is underrated as frick. So definitely, guys, if you're doing raids, highly recommended. Eraserhead isn't as bad as I thought he was, so you can maybe get away with Eraserhead. Let me see if there's any. Oh yeah, this guy is very good for Marine Raid. I don't know if you could solo it with him, but like if you can duo it, you can definitely get away with him. Let's see here. Yeah, same with Taco Cheetah or 02. If you're in a duo, you could probably use her because she's one of the few units with Black Flames that you can actually get that's affordable. Goldie Roger wasn't bad, but kind of outdated nowadays. Not gonna lie, but you can get away with him. This guy is pretty cool. If you want a budget buff, give him the Fire Rage Orb and put him in your leader slot. He's basically the cheapest buff in the game. You can get max buff on wave 1 for like 700 bucks total. He is pretty busted. Tengen isn't recommended anymore, but like if you're down bad, you could probably get away with Tengen. I see Alucard using some strategies. He's a full AoE bleed unit that's dark as well, so you can maybe use him with Asta. But again, not really recommended because there's just better options out there. Levi isn't terrible. Not amazing though. I don't ever recommend using the strongest curse because Magellan has just a better version of him, so please don't use him. Just get Magellan. Let me see if there's anything else. If you really need to slow air units, you can sometimes use Ichigo Dark, but that's a rare scenario. So there you go, guys. Those are all the great units for raids. Comment down below, guys, if I missed any units, and I'll maybe make a pinned comment down below that you guys can check out for any of the units I missed that are also pretty good. Just comment down like what unit's good and then also what raid you can solo with it, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.